Hi guys, I'm trying to piece together some clips where Elvis Presley and James Brown first met and where they went on to become very good friends. And I know that they both love singing gospel music together, and they had quite similar backgrounds, being from very humble beginnings, and respected each other right until the day Elvis passed. And James Brown always spoke very highly of Elvis. So let's watch these little clips.
It was back in 69, 68, I believe 69, when Elvis was making his comeback and had played the International Hotel in Las Vegas. It's now the Las Vegas Hilton. Mr. Brown had been doing a show the week prior to Elvis coming in, and he was ending his show at the International Hotel there on Saturday night, and Elvis came in on the weekend, and he was to open the following week. He called Mr. Brown, wanted to come up to his suite, and I got really nervous. As many people as I'd met, I kind of got weak in the knees. Mr. Brown called me at my suite. He said, "Mr. Davis, you want to meet Elvis?" And so I was really in awe. But we went down to the suite, and Elvis met us out in the hall as we were getting off the elevator, and I went upstairs to the suite. He was a floor above us, and but they were laughing and talking, and we went inside and had some sandwiches and coffee, and the next thing they got to singing bars of gospel music, and they were teasing each other. Elvis would say, "James, I bet you don't know so and so and so and so." He said, "Oh man, yeah," and he'd sing a few bars, and James Brown would do the same thing to him. "You don't know so and so," and James Brown told him, he said, "Well, I go to church." Elvis said he went to church and he knew them all. He said, "Well, I go to church too." He said, "I know more than you do," and they were teasing back and forth.
In 1966, Elvis went to see a Jackie Wilson performance, and at that performance, George Klein introduced Elvis to James Brown, and Elvis even went over to James Brown's private table and introduced himself and shook his hand and sat with James Brown, and this meant everything to James Brown.
About who knew all the gospel songs. And they went back and forth. It was like a little tit for tat battle, like two little kids, you know. And James Brown loved Elvis, and Elvis loved James Brown. But anyway, they put on a mini concert there. James Brown sat out on the piano stool with him, and they sang gospel music for about 2 hours. And that was how I first met Elvis.
Well, soul has no color, has no barrier. But I also had a lot of good people that brought out a lot. I want to pay a tribute to a good friend of mine, Brother Elvis Presley, who opened up a lot of doors for me to get through. Elvis was a pioneer, and he came out 1 year before I did. He was out in 55, Heartbreak Hotel. And then I come in 56. And Elvis and I were very good friends up until the last minute of his bodily life. But he'll always live because of the fact he was such a beautiful man. I don't care what nobody say, I know Elvis. You know, there are a lot of rumors. Elvis and I sang spiritual together. And he'd buy any movie that I'd make, any film, he'd buy the film and close the theater up and show it. I love Elvis for being a man. I love him for what he'd done for the people and the chance he gave me. He kept me from being number one. I was number one soul and he was number one world, and it took a long time, but it's almost like the two rental cars. It made me try harder, and I love Elvis for it, and we'll always pray for Elvis.
James Brown once said, "I love Elvis. I hope to meet him in heaven. There'll never be another soul brother like Elvis." And James Brown went on to sing a tribute song to show his love for Elvis called "Love Me Tender."
You know, oh hi, this is James Brown, Godfather of Soul. I want to talk about a good friend I've had for a long time, and a man I still love, Brother Elvis Presley.
And James Brown would regularly phone Elvis Presley on his private line at Graceland, and they would even sing gospel together whilst on the phone. And James Brown was one of the few celebrities that came to pay his respects to Elvis with the open casket in Graceland, and he was physically moved and in tears, and he spent a long time by the casket mourning, deeply upset and distraught. There really was a very close bond between Elvis Presley and James Brown. Thanks everyone.